Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Akil. Welcome back to another catch up review, guys. Yes, I have managed to see Blue Beetle finally. I know it's been a few months since it came out back in August, but I decided to watch it today. And honestly, unfortunately, guys, this one is kind of like the Marvels. It was alright, it was okay. So, to start off with for my pre rating score, I'm gonna say that Blue Beetle is an okay movie, guys. Yes, we find ourselves with yet another middle of the road, mid tier superhero movie, unfortunately. But it is what it is, so there's that. Now, in terms of the story, Jaime Reyes gets these powers from the scarab, and at first he doesn't know how to react, but then he gets the hang of it. Then he realizes what the suit's capable of, and he realizes that, that there's a voice in his head, and he realizes that's a suit talking to him, and basically it grants him all these abilities. Now, I won't spoil exactly how the suit fully operates, but it's really interesting. I thought it was one way, it was going to go in this simple direction, but and then it didn't. So the best way I can say, it's kind of like the Iron Man suit, but it's a little bit different. So that's all I'll say about that. And since this is a DC movie, in case you're wondering, this is a DC movie. There's of course some other references in the movie as well. I'm just saying that here for the story part because it is a DC movie, and the story is a superhero film. It's that it's following the trend, the cliches of a superhero story. So yes, there are going to be some DC references, and it's part of a part family story as well. So there are elements where Jaime is with his family and they're trying to bond and stuff like that. And then you have the villain moments. It's simple superhero story stuff. There's nothing really I can say that hasn't probably been said about movies like this in the past. So there we go. Now, in terms of the positives, the action is by far the best part of this entire movie, I would say. This is a movie that if the action doesn't work, then what's the point, right? The action should work for this type of movie, and it does. Overall, I thought it was done very, very well. And this film, for a 100 to 120, I think, $1 million budget film, they did a good job. They did a good job, and you can definitely feel like they're not trying to overdo it, if that kind of makes sense. So there's that. Now, another thing I liked about this movie is some of the performances. There's some good acting in this movie, particularly from the main lead actor, whose name I'm not gonna try and butcher. Xolo, I think that's his name, his first name. He did great. The love interest actually wasn't too bad of an actress. The villains were not really going hard as I thought they would be in terms of performances. And I liked the family. I thought all of them were all right for the roles, but they didn't really stand out. I would say in particular, I would say really the best performances were Zoe, the love interest. I think her name is Bruno, I believe, and the actor that played the dad. I thought all three of them were good. George Lopez was all right. I don't think I've seen anything with George Lopez though. So there we go. And finally, for positives, there was some good humor. There's some generally really funny moments in this movie, and one funny moment towards the end. I was like, yeah, it's badass, but it's funny at the same time. So there we go. Now, negatives. The villains in this movie are cliche. This movie falls into the same trap and wheelhouse that the Marvels falls into, having cliched villains. Just like how Darben was just this power hungry villain, the villains in this movie are very power hungry as well. Susan's Sarah Darren's character, I don't know how to say her last name, but her character was so basic. It's like there's nothing to her. And it's sad because we've had some great villains when it comes to super movies this year. Like at the start of the year, we had Kang the Conqueror, even though he was kind of butchered towards the end, and High Evolutionary. Also, I should say, Spot, and I guess 2099 if you want to count him as a villain. I mean, I kind of do, I would say. But we have had some great villains in comic book movies this year, guys, yeah. But when it comes to the latter half of the year, you start to feel like they're not really caring much about, like, basically what I'm trying to say is that the villains aren't sticking out that much now. Like Darvan, the villains in this movie. I mean, the Flash, the villain of villains, I would say in that movie were all right. But here and the Marvels, you really do feel it. I just hope that Black Manta and Aquaman the Lost Kingdom sticks out. I'm sure he's gonna do great. I think he'll do great. He was one of the best parts of that first Aquaman movie, so there's that. And I'm very worried because this movie was mid. I hope that movie's enjoyable because I loved the hell out of the first Aquaman movie. I had a ton of fun with it. So there's that. But in terms of this movie, the villains definitely could have been better. Another thing is pacing issues. I mean, it's a common trend on my channel to talk about this, I would say, at this point, in terms of negatives. At this point, it's not surprising that I'm bringing it up, but for me, pacing is definitely a big problem uh, in movies because, it's not nothing to do on my attention span, but if the movie, like, if some scenes go on for too long, you do start to feel it. And sometimes I was like checking my phone because I was seeing it at home, and that's not good, guys, for a movie like this. This should have been a fun ride, but it wasn't as fun as I thought it would be. And finally, for negatives, there's a forced romance in this movie, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And honestly, it's a superhero movie, so you're gonna have some type of love interest, right? But it didn't need to be for this type of movie, and I feel like there's a strange age gap. And even if you look on Google, research up the ages between those two characters, like, it doesn't really make sense. But guys, Blue Beetle was alright. I still prefer the Marvels just a tad bit more. Like, that's like a 6.5, kind of like Thor Love and Thunder Wars. But this is not really that good of a movie. It's okay, it's alright. As a final score, I'm gonna give Blue Beetle 6 out of 10. It's alright as a film. So there's that. Now, in terms of other movies I've yet to see, I still have yet to see Transformers Rise of Beast, and I still have yet to see Monkey King, and I also have yet to see Napoleon. I really want to see Napoleon. I just don't know when. Also, since I'm back from my UA trip, I have started Death Note. I've seen the first 15 episodes, and boy, do I have some things to say about that when we get to the eventual review once I finish it. So there's that. But guys, those are my thoughts on Blue Beetle. We still got one more superhero movie to go for the rest of the year, guys, and then that's it. Next year, there isn't hardly any big superhero movies coming out. There's only one MCU movie. There's Madam Web, which I honestly don't know if I'm seeing. There's Kraven the Hunter, which again I don't know if I'm seeing. And there's Venom 3. And besides Deadpool 3, I think Venom 3 is the only other superhero movie I might watch next year. I do not care for Joker 2. It's a musical. I'm sorry, I don't. 2025, don't sign me up for those movies coming out that year. Especially with Spider-Man 4 and Beyond the Spider-Verse come out that year. But guys, I'm still excited for the future of superhero movies, comic book movies, DC movies, and everything. But we need to move on from just the stereotypes, if that kind of makes sense. But guys, Blue Beetle was okay. Let me know what you guys think about in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. My name is Akil, otherwise known as the Comic Director, and I'm signing out.